Assalamu alaikum, beautiful souls, and welcome back to From Zakham to Shifa. Today I want to talk about something that lives in the architecture of many families, but particularly in communities where the concept of family honor is deeply tied to what is kept private: the silence. The deliberate silence around things that happen inside the family that were never supposed to leave the family. What happens at home stays at home. We have all heard some variation of this. It is how families manage their reputation, their dignity, their standing in the community. And there are things that genuinely should stay private. Not everything is the world's business. But there is a particular kind of silence that goes beyond privacy. A silence that protects harm rather than dignity. A silence that is passed from parents to children to grandchildren, not as wisdom, but as wounds with instructions. Do not speak this. Do not acknowledge this. Pretend this did not happen. And the children who carry that instruction carry something heavier than a secret. They carry the weight of the thing itself, plus the conclusion of being expected to pretend that something that shaped their entire life never happened. Let me describe what this actually looks like in families, because I think it is important to name it specifically rather than abstractly. It looks like the aunt nobody talks about at family gatherings, the one who left, or who was sent away, or who did something that was never forgiven and therefore never erased. It looks like the grandfather whose anger everyone walked carefully around, but nobody ever named it as abuse. It looks like the mother who suffered in her marriage and taught her daughters without words that this is what marriage is. These silences are not malicious. Most of the people maintaining them genuinely believe they are protecting their families. They are protecting the family's reputation. They are protecting children from things they are too young to understand. The intentions are often protective. The impact is damage that compounds across generation. Research on intergenerational trauma is clear. When trauma is acknowledged, it does not disappear. It is transmitted, not through genes, but through the behaviors, the emotional patterns, the relational style of the family that carries it. The mother who was abused and never processed that abuse will parent from a place of unprocessed fear. The father who grew up in violence and never named it will manage conflict in ways shaped by that violence. The child who was taught never to speak about what happened at home will teach their children the same silence, even when their silencing is causing harm. I want to bring our faith into this carefully, because the concept of sitr, covering the faults of others, is genuinely Islamic, and I do not want to dismiss it. Protecting someone's dignity by not broadcasting their failures is a virtue in our traditions. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever conceals the faults of a Muslim in this world, Allah will conceal his fault on the Day of Judgment." But sitr has a specific meaning and a specific limit. It applies to the private failings of individuals, things that do not harm others. It does not apply to the concealment of ongoing harm. It does not apply to protecting an abuser from accountability. It does not mean that a child who was harmed should be taught to pretend it did not happen. It does not mean that patterns of violence, addiction, or abuse should be passed through a family in silence. The Quran is unambiguous. Do not conceal testimony. Standing as a witness to what is true, including what is painful, is a Quranic obligation. The silence that protects harm is not Islamic, it is cultural, and the difference matters. There is also a principle in Islamic jurisprudence: preventing harm takes precedence over bringing benefit. If the silence is causing ongoing harm to the children in the family, to the person who was hurt, to the next generation who will inherit the patterns, then the silence is not a virtue. It is a harm that needs to be addressed. And what does the breaking generational silence actually involves? Because it is not as simple as deciding to speak. It is one of the hardest things a person can do inside a family structure, and it has real costs. It requires you to be willing to be the one who disrupts the family's self-image. Families that have maintained a silence for a long time have often built an entire narrative around it, a version of themselves that depends on things not being named. The person who names it is, from the family's perspective, the problem, not the thing that happened, the person speaking about it. You need to be prepared for that, and you need support that is not inside the family before you take real steps. It requires you to have done some of your own processing first. Breaking silence is not the same as discharging pain onto others. The goal is not to cause harm in the name of truth. It is to bring what's hidden into a space where it can be addressed. An imam, a therapist, a counselor who understands trauma, these are the places to begin, not the family dinner table. And it requires you to hold realistic expectations about the outcome. Some families, when the silence is broken, do genuinely begin to heal. The acknowledgement of what happened creates space for something different. Other families close ranks. The person who spoke is blamed and excluded. Both outcomes are possible. What you can control is whether you spoke, not how they perceived it. And speaking, even when it is not received well, often begins a process in the next generation that takes years to see. A sister told me about the moment she decided to break her family's silence. She had a daughter, and she realized, watching her daughter, that she was passing forward the same patterns she had been taught to protect. The same silence, the same walking carefully around something that was never named, and she could not do it. She did not do it dramatically. She did not confront the family at a gathering or write a public account. She did it quietly, over time, in the right spaces. She went to therapy. She named what had happened to herself first and fully. She told her daughter, age appropriately, that certain things that had happened in her family were not okay, and that their family was going to do things differently. She broke the pattern in the most important place, in the next generation. What she built was not a family free of difficulty. It was a family where difficulty could be named, where the children knew that coming to her with hard things was safe, where the silence had been broken, not explosively, but deliberately, with love, with intention. If this episode reached someone who has been carrying a family's secret, a family's silence alone, share it with them. What happened at home does not have to stay at home forever. The silence that protected the wound is also the thing that kept it from healing. You are allowed to speak, and what you pass forward to your children, when you do it, is not the wound, it is the beginning of something different. This is From Zakham to Shifa. Barakallahu fi. Wassalamu alaikum.